Before we dive into this satisfying story, if you enjoy content like this, smashing that subscribe button really helps out the channel. It's free, takes 1 second, and helps me keep making these stories. Alright, let's get into it. Be me, name is Paxton. 35 years old, sitting in my new corner office at Ascend Technologies. Looking at my first paycheck from this job. 40% more than I made at my old company. Plus signing bonus, plus better benefits. Plus stock options that might actually be worth something. My phone buzzes with a LinkedIn notification. Another former colleague from Luminary just updated their status. Griffin, senior engineer, just started at Meridian Systems. That's the 4th one this month. The 8th one this quarter. All men. All top performers. All quietly walking out the door. While Fiona sits in her office. Wondering why the projects aren't getting done. Wondering why the clients are complaining. Wondering where all her talent went. I could tell her exactly where they went. They went to companies that pay them fairly. Companies that don't block their raises. Because of what's between their legs. But she won't ask me. Because she doesn't know she should. That's the thing about quiet exits. No scenes, no arguments, no reasons given. Just resignation letters and empty desks. And leadership left confused. Wondering what happened to their culture. When the culture was the problem all along. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I went from loyal employee to cautionary tale to the guy who watches his former company burn. From a much nicer office across town. I joined Luminary Tech Solutions 6 years ago. Employee number 47. Small startup then, maybe 30 people. Building enterprise software for healthcare clients. Good product, good team, lots of potential. I was a mid-level developer when I started. Worked my way up through results. Senior developer by year 2. Tech lead by year 4. Senior architect by year 5. Every promotion earned through performance. A late nights, weekend deployments, crisis management. I was the guy who fixed things when they broke. The guy who designed systems that didn't break. The guy clients asked for by name. My performance reviews were consistently excellent. Exceeded expectations every single year. Top ratings across every metric. Fiona herself called me a cornerstone of the company. In an all-hands meeting 2 years ago. Said she couldn't imagine Luminary without me. Funny how things change. Luminary grew fast over those 6 years. From 30 to 180 employees. From $3 million to $45 million revenue. Series B funded, real player in the healthcare tech space. Fiona had built something impressive. I respected her for it. She was driven, smart, ambitious. Knew how to raise money and close deals. The business side was her strength. The technical side was mine. Good partnership, mutual respect. Or so I thought. Then the equity compensation initiative happened. 3 years ago, Fiona announced a company-wide review. External consultants analyzing pay structures. Looking for inequities and gaps. Standard corporate exercise seemed reasonable. I didn't think much of it. My compensation was fair, market rate. I'd gotten raises every year based on performance. Never had complaints. The consultants found what consultants always find. Disparities that justified their fees. Specifically, they found that on average, male employees made 12% more than female employees in comparable roles at comparable tenures. Fiona was disturbed by this finding. Announced it at an all-hands meeting. Called it unacceptable. A legacy of systemic bias. That she would personally correct. Her solution was the equity-first compensation policy. Going forward, raises and promotions would prioritize closing the gender gap until parity was achieved. Male employees would have raises reviewed through an additional equity lens to ensure we weren't perpetuating disparities. Female employees would be prioritized for compensation adjustments to close the historical gap. I sat in that meeting doing math. If women were 12% behind on average, and we had about 80 women at the company. Closing that gap would cost maybe $400,000 annually. The company could afford that easily. Made sense to correct genuine inequities. I supported equal pay for equal work. Everyone should. What I didn't realize was that prioritize had a specific meaning that I'd discover at my next performance review. 6 months after the policy launched. Annual review time came around. I sat down with my manager Doyle. Great guy, technical background, fair evaluator. He went through my metrics. All excellent, as expected. Project delivery, code quality, team development. Exceeded expectations across the board. He said he was recommending me for a raise. 8%, which was strong for a company, reflected my contributions. I thanked him, said I appreciated the recognition. He looked uncomfortable, said there was a process now. All male raises went through additional review. Under the equity first policy, he'd submit his recommendation, but final approval came from Nadia in HR. And ultimately Fiona. I said okay, seemed bureaucratic but fine. Figured my numbers spoke for themselves. 3 weeks later, I got the decision. Raise denied. Not because of performance. Performance was explicitly praised in the letter, but because of compensation equity priorities. The current focus was on closing gaps for historically disadvantaged groups. My compensation was already above company median. Adjustments for me weren't aligned with equity goals. I read it 3 times. Trying to understand. I exceeded every metric, did everything asked of me, and more. But I wasn't getting a raise because I was a man, and the company was prioritizing women. Until the gap closed. I went to Doyle, asked what this meant. He looked exhausted. Said 4 other guys on the team got the same letter. All top performers, all denied. Meanwhile, 3 women got raises, including one who'd been on a performance improvement plan 6 months earlier. He said his hands were tied. Policy came from the top. Nothing he could do. I asked how long until the gap closed. He said maybe 2 or 3 years. At current pace, 3 years of no raises. While doing excellent work. While watching less qualified people get ahead. Because of gender. I didn't make a scene. Didn't file a complaint. Didn't post on social media. Just went back to my desk. And did my job. But something had shifted. The loyalty I felt for 6 years had cracked. Not broken yet, just cracked. I told myself to wait. Maybe next year would be different. Maybe the gap would close faster. Maybe my continued excellence would be recognized. Next year came. Same performance, same reviews. Same recommendation from Doyle. Same denial from HR. Same letter about equity priorities. 2 years of raises blocked. While I trained new hires. Fixed critical systems. Saved a major client relationship. Did everything right. And got nothing. Meanwhile, I watched the market. Former colleagues at other companies. Getting promoted, getting raises. Moving up while I stayed frozen. LinkedIn recruiters reached out constantly. Senior architect roles, principal positions. Compensation packages 30 to 40% higher. At companies that just wanted good work. Didn't care about equity, lens reviews. Just wanted results. I started taking calls. Not seriously at first. Just curious what was out there. The more I talked, the more I realized I was being dramatically underpaid. Not just for my skills, but for my market value. Luminary was paying me year 3 rates, while I delivered year 6 value, and blocking any adjustment, because I was male. The irony wasn't lost on me. A policy meant to ensure equal pay was paying me unequally, based on gender. Just in the other direction. Ascend Technologies reached out in month 2. Growing company. Excellent reputation. Building healthcare infrastructure similar to Luminary. The hiring manager had actually heard of me. Knew my work from a conference talk. Wanted me specifically. Interview process was smooth. Technical rounds I passed easily. Culture interviews felt genuine. They asked about my compensation expectations. I told them the truth. Current salary plus the raises I'd been denied. They came back with more. 40% increase over my luminary pay. Signing bonus to offset unvested equity. Better title, bigger scope, actual growth path. I accepted in a week. Resignation letter was simple. 2 weeks notice, professional transition. Thanked Luminary for the opportunity. Just goodbye. Fiona asked for an exit interview. Nadia conducted it. Asked why I was leaving. I said I had a better opportunity. She asked if there was anything Luminary could have done. I said probably not. She asked if I had concerns about company culture. I said the culture was fine. I just had a better opportunity. She looked frustrated, like she wanted me to say something specific. Give her something to work with. But I didn't owe them honesty. They hadn't given me fairness. I walked out with a cardboard box. 6 years of career in a small container. Couple of awards, some photos, a coffee mug. The things that accumulated. When you gave everything to a company that decided your gender disqualified you from recognition. First month at Ascend was refreshing. Real meritocracy, actual recognition. When I solved a complex architecture problem, my manager said great work, noted it for my review. No equity lens, no additional approvals. Just good work getting noticed. I'd forgotten what that felt like. My phone kept buzzing with updates from Luminary. Not official updates, just LinkedIn. Sutton changed his status. Now at Vertex Solutions. He'd been denied raises twice too. Top performer, same letters, same excuses. Griffin 2 weeks later. Moved to Meridian Systems. Same story. Then Palmer, then Walsh, then Kirby. All senior technical people. All men. All quietly walking away. The pattern was unmistakable. At least from the outside. Apparently not from Fiona's office. 6 months after I left, a former colleague reached out. Oakley, senior product manager, still at Luminary. She wanted to catch up. We got coffee, she vented. Said things were falling apart. Projects behind schedule, quality dropping. 3 major clients had complained formally. One was threatening to leave. She asked if I knew why so many senior engineers left. All around the same time. All to competitors. I asked if she really didn't know. She said there were rumors about the compensation policy. But leadership said it was just market conditions. Tech industry was hot. People got poached. Nothing to do with internal policies. I laughed. Not happily. Just at the absurdity. Told her the truth. Every guy who left was denied raises. For years. While doing excellent work. Because of the equity policy. We didn't leave for market conditions. We left because we weren't being paid. She was quiet for a long moment. Said she hadn't realized. The women on the team didn't know. Nobody was talking about it. Because nobody complained. We just left. That's the thing about quiet exits. They don't generate feedback. Don't create documentation. Don't give leadership a chance to fix things. Just drain the talent silently. Until one day you realize all the people who made things work are gone. And you don't know why. Because they never told you. Because you never asked. Because the policy created a culture where men knew complaining was pointless. So they just didn't. They voted with their feet instead. Year after I left, Luminary lost their biggest client. Implementation failed. Deadline missed. The project had been led by Palmer. Before he left, his replacement didn't understand the codebase. Made critical mistakes. The client walked. $4 million annual contract. Gone because the guy who built it had been denied raises until he quit. Fiona issued a company-wide statement about market challenges and industry headwinds. No mention of the 12 senior engineers who'd left in 18 months. No mention of the policy that pushed them out. Just corporate speak about resilience and adaptation. 2 years out now. Luminary is struggling. Revenue flat, growth stalled. Series C fell through. Valuation dropped 40%. They're cutting costs, freezing hiring. The irony is they probably canceled the equity policy. Now that there's no money for any raises. Problem solved, I guess. Fiona gave an interview to a tech publication about the challenges of scaling and retaining talent in a competitive market. She said the industry needed to do better at creating environments where people wanted to stay. I almost commented, almost typed exactly what would create that environment. Pay people fairly based on performance. Don't discriminate based on gender in either direction. Treat everyone as individuals, not demographics. But I didn't. Wasn't worth the drama. Let her figure it out. Or not. Not my problem anymore. Ascend promoted me last month. Principal architect, leading a team of 12. Compensation package that would have taken me 10 more years to reach at Luminary. If ever. They didn't promote me because I'm a man. They promoted me because I'm good. That's all I ever wanted. To be judged on my work, not my chromosomes. My daughter is starting her first job soon. Engineering degree, smart as hell. She asked me for advice about compensation. I told her to know her worth. To expect fair treatment regardless of gender. Not special treatment because of it. Just fair. And to leave any company that doesn't provide it. Quietly, professionally, without drama. The market will sort it out. It always does. Fiona thought she was creating equity by blocking raises for one gender. What she created was exodus. The best people walking out, one by one. No protests, no lawsuits, no public complaints. Just empty desks. And a company that forgot why it succeeded. The talent made it work. When you stop paying the talent stops staying. Simple math. But apparently too simple. For someone focused on equity equations. Instead of basic business reality. Anyway, that's the story. Of how a feminist boss blocked male raises. To close a gender gap. And watched her best performers disappear. Not with anger. Not with confrontation. Just resignation letters and forwarding addresses. To companies that paid fairly. Based on work, not demographics. The gap probably closed eventually. Hard not to close a gap when everyone on one side leaves. But there's no company left to celebrate. Just empty offices and missed quotas. And a CEO still wondering what happened to the culture she thought she was building. Turns out you can't build culture on discrimination. Even discrimination you think is justified. Even discrimination in the name of equity. People notice when you treat them unfairly. They don't always complain, but they always remember. And eventually they always leave. The only question is whether you'll understand why. Before it's too late. Fiona still doesn't understand. Probably never will. That's okay. I've stopped caring. Too busy being successful. At a company that judges me on my work, not my gender. Imagine that.